As all of us economists would like to perhaps believe, that economies now have attained a momentum of their own, and there's only that much that politics can really influence economic outcomes. Look at the US. The US economy is growing so well despite all that Trump is doing, which is goes against all basic laws of economics. So can we say that politics does not really matter very much as far as growth is concerned, or is it growth fundamentally defined by politics?
Well, there's a lot of economists in the US who recognize that in the short run the US is doing well, but they're calling it a sugar high.
Okay.
And so they expect that the comeuppance will be there a year later.
Okay.
We'll have to see.
Okay.
But I think that on the role of politics, in my view, if you think that our long-term growth potential is, let us say, 8%, which I think it is, if we do a whole lot of things, then whether we get there or not is going to depend on policy.
Okay.
And my guess is that a credible fiscal trajectory, not the number at any given point, but a credible fiscal trajectory is part of that. Okay. But bad policy can do humongous bits of damage.
Okay.
So never make the assumption that policy doesn't matter. My guess would be that the ability of policy to deliver good results is modest, and maybe even more modest than people think in the short run.
And this policy is dictated by politics.
To wreck things is enormous.
And this policy is dictated by politics, not really economics.
Regrettably, it is dictated by politics, but that's what makes the test of a good government.
Okay.
How is it able to translate sensible economics into saleable politics?
Okay. Would you agree, Swami, with that assessment? And how easy is it to do it in a poor country where people are really looking at immediate gains?
No, in the first place, that itself is part of the policy making, the trade-off between short-term and long-term. I mean, when you look at the election debate, you will discover that it would appear that the only two things that matter are freebies and reservations. I mean, these two things dominate the debate as to who is the better or worse party over any long-term thing. Partly also, something like education. I mean, to me, this is the biggest problem in India.
Okay.
And this is true at every state level. And if you don't take any seriousness about this, it is because the politician will tell you that I don't get a huge demand for improving the quality of education from the voters.
Okay.
The rate of return on investing on education is a rate over which you will get a returns after 10, 12 years. So will you be dominated by somewhere where the returns are within a few months or after 10 years? There's a thing that, for poor people, the real interest rate is extremely high. The discount rate is very high. So if your discount rate is 33%, the future does not exist beyond 3 years. So if the future does not exist beyond 3 years, why will you worry about long-term issues like infrastructure, education? Give me the freebie.
That's true.